Hey everybody, it's your friend Sarmate here with a beginner's guide to Farthest Frontier. I hope you're having a fantastic and amazing day today. And here we are at the beginning of the main screen here. We're going to go ahead and get a new settlement. We have three difficulties in this game: Pioneer, Trailblazer, and Vanquisher. You can think of it as easy, medium, and hard. It breaks it down a little bit here. So Pioneer has more starting resources, more villagers, and a better stock of food at the beginning of the game. Trailblazer has a little bit less, and then Vanquisher is even less. So that's going to be a theme that repeats here. Hunting and wildlife, there's more deer, there's more opportunities for hide and meats. There's fewer predators, such as wolves and bears. Again, Trailblazer has a little bit more wolves and bears and a little bit less deer, and then Vanquisher is even fewer deer and even more bears and wolves. Now, hostile forces. So this game has raiders on occasion. So what this Pioneer says, there's going to be fewer raiders. Trailblazer, there's going to be a little bit more. And then Vanquisher, there's going to be a lot. And then healthcare adversity. So this says rates of disease and injury scale up from a reduced level to become more frequent. With proper hygiene and healthcare, most diseases can be avoided or significantly mitigated. There's going to be more diseases on Vanquisher, fewer on Pioneer. Here we can name our town anything you want. I have Grimtree here. That was just a generated name. I like that, so I'm going to leave it. We can change the map size. We have small, medium, large. And then we have terrain. So there's lots of different terrains in this game. We have arid highlands, alpine valleys, plains, lowland lakes, or random. So they have different difficulties depending on what you want to pick here. So arid highlands, kind of thinking like a deserty, savanna-y kind of. So it says there at the very end, hard environmental difficulty. When I first started playing this, I didn't notice that. Alpine valleys, medium environmental difficulty. Plains is medium, and lowland lakes is easy. Now, I like lowland lakes because it's easy, because it's flat land, it's easy to build on, and there's lakes. So this also has lakes, but the terrain is a little bit more hilly, which is okay. So let's go with the medium one. We'll check it out, and I'll show you what we got going on here. So there's also advanced settings. So if you were working on Pioneer and you're playing your game and you're feeling really good about it, maybe you want to take it up a notch, but maybe you don't want to deal with hostile forces. So you can say Pioneer and go advanced settings and adjust this. So you can go Trailblazer, 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 Trailblazer. So this is our extra resources, maladies, wildlife, and raiders. So you can say Pioneer, and then you can start your game just like that. All right, so here we are, finally loaded up into the game world, our town center. So we get to place it now. We finish scouting the surrounding area. So let's go ahead here. We have our little town center there, and our peeps running around. So there's a couple of things we want to consider here before we just go ahead and just place this thing willy-nilly. We want to get some food. Medicine is a consideration, and there's quite a few minerals around that we want to have access to. I'm playing a game right now, which is kind of weird. I can't find coal anywhere on the map. So I'm looking around. I think I'm going to have to do some trading for some coal. So it's something to keep in mind, to look for. So right now, I'm just going to see if we can find any lakes. A lake is a good spot to start because there's fish. And I'm kind of concerned because I'm not seeing any lakes. Okay, so apparently this is the only lake on the map. So we're kind of restricted if we want to get by the water to be right here. There is all these little nodules around here, lots of little thingies. How to see those easier. So I pushed F4 that are hidden. If maybe you want to take a nice screenshot, you can hide those, F4. F4 again brings up the nodes, and then F4 a third time brings up the nodes with the quantities on those nodes. So for example, we have our little clay pile right here. When this clay pile hits 0, that you can destroy your clay pit and you can build over it. So it's something to keep in mind. There aren't unlimited stuff in this game, so you have to. There's only so much in a spot. But as far as food goes here, I'm not seeing any deer around here. Okay, here's a deer right here. We have deer. We have lots of rocks, and lots of trees. We're by the water. And is there any minerals close by here? I'm not seeing anything real quick. Okay, so here's gold, and here's a coal, and then here's another coal. Nice, a couple coals. The only other thing we want to find is iron, and I'm seeing one here and one here. So this isn't a terrible spot to get started here. You can be a little bit further away from the stuff. You can build roads. You don't have to be on top of everything. So we're going to go ahead and kind of plop in the midst of these trees for a couple reasons. Plop this down, and what's going to happen is the people are going to come over. They're going to clear the building site of trees, and that's going to take some time. So we can see here, they got our peeps started up. They're starting to hack away at the trees. We can't really do anything until this is built up. So take this time to just go through the UI real quick with you. We have health at the top. So this is going to tell us how many villagers we have that are sick or are bedridden. It will show the one number and then a number in parentheses. We have our population here, age brackets. It's broken down here. If you click on this, this goes into the professions that each of your people are working on. This is a really, really handy, quick menu to get into. So you can see here we have 12 laborers and no builders. So this is the slot that you want to look for builders. This is how many you would like to have. Okay, and you can tweak that by going plus and minus. If you go more builders and you have laborers available, it will subtract from your laborers and add to the builders. You want to go through and you want to check, make sure that you have everything working here when you get some buildings set up. When you have raiders that attack or you have predators that attack and somebody dies, you need to come in here and find where it will be red. This will say 1 out of 2 brick makers, and you just add in another one here. It will replace that person, and then that building is back up to full efficiency. So this is a really, really handy tool. I use this all the time. And then we have our villager happiness. We don't have a villager, so nobody's really happy. Oh, we're getting interrupted. So here's a little trick I learned. So right now we're in the midst of the woods. So the woods has, like I mentioned before, wolves and bears. So all of our villagers, you can see, they ran over here. This guy's getting attacked by this wolf. Let's get in here real quick. And if we leave this person very well may die. So we don't want that to happen, obviously, at the very beginning of the game especially. So this guy is kind of a jerk. So what we can do here, I learned this from Raptor. If you want to find the predator who's attacking your people, this was pretty easy because we don't have much. So this is the predator's target, is this person right here. So Emma is getting attacked by the wolf. So what we want to do is you click on Emma and click away from the wolf. So we can do here, just like in an RTS, you can also left click and drag. So we want to try and select everybody but Emma. And then right click to move your people around. So just like an Age of Empires type game. So now we have our person who's being attacked moving away from the wolf, and we're going to select everybody else that we have around here and move them towards the wolf. So what's going to happen is, so if you right click on the wolf, you're going to attack them. So what's going to happen is Emma is going to run through our building site here, and then all of our other people are going to ambush the wolf. Hopefully Emma doesn't take too much damage and doesn't die. So that's what we're trying to prevent here, right? So let's go ahead and we'll progress and see what happens here. So see how they're pulling through, and now they pulled aggro on the wolf. So now if we just have everybody come around, we have successfully defeated the wolf without losing anybody. So that's a trick that I learned from Raptor. I use it constantly now. It's a very, very easy way to deal with predators, especially when there's a bunch of them. Sometimes you get 1 or 2 bears that come in. Maybe there's a group of wolves. You have to be very careful when you're exploring because you can run across wolf dens. There's a lot of things to be mindful of in this game. So that's the best way to deal with predators that I found. So there's a little tip for you. We're still working on clearing our site here. So one thing else that we can do. So now that the site itself is mostly cleared, it looks like we got maybe one more guy here. The villagers don't have resources, and they're just kind of like, well, what do we do now, right? So what we need to do is come over here to the Harvest Resources menu here. So you can hit H or come down here and click on this button. And we have trees, stones, bushes, and berries. So I'm going to leave everything selected. And what we want to do now is, because we got built by these stones right here, they're kind of hard to see, but that's what these gray blobs are here. We can click and drag and mark all of this stuff in this area for harvesting. So I'm going to kind of just go around and we'll get this set up here. So there we go. We have the town center built up. And now we're saying, hey, we have a housing shortage. Well, yeah, we don't have any houses. So we got to do that. That's all, of course, the first step we want to get into. If you're wondering what this little guy is before we build houses, this is our storage cart. It's a mobile storage place. So it's pretty handy. You can see here we have some logs in there. We have some stones. We got some smoked meat, a little bit of root veggies, arrows, tools, and a couple of weapons. So to move this thing, I still goof this up. You click on it, and you want to click this little move building thing. So even trying to remember that this is a building, not necessarily a carriage. So you have to say move building, get the little wheel with the arrow. We're just going to kind of scoot this guy just out of the way, just a smidge there. So then this guy, the oxen, is going to move away and go over to this space. Okay, so now we want to get into our building. So there's a couple of things to consider with our houses. So we go to housing here and go to the build menu. This B. We have amenities and services, housing, storage, food production, resources, defenses, walls and roads, and decorations. So we found housing. We're going to go here to our shelter. We're going to click on this. One thing that we want to consider is how much this is going to cost us. So we have 20 labor and then 10 wood. So we have the 10 wood. It's up here. We have 8 wood, but we have it marked. So it will get picked up and stored in our cart as they cut down trees. So we'll go ahead and we'll get our shelter. And our shelters are 3x3s. So one thing to consider is the shelters in this game, the housing in this game, the way that they improve and get better is when the desirability around them improves, the buildings themselves improve. So you want to be considerate of that and leave space for gardens. The gardens are just a one grid. They're pretty easy. I'll show you those in just a second. But we want to think about where we're going to lay our roads. How do we want to lay out our shelter? So what I'm going to do is, since we had a 3x3, we want to consider the gardens. So I'm going to pretend that this is going to be a 5x5. So we got gardens on either side of this thing. So we're going to go over here, and then let's just plop this guy. We're going to rotate it with tab. Kind of a weird button to use, but it's pretty handy once you get used to it. We're going to go like about here. I'm going to put a road in front of that building. You can see where the arrow is. That's the front of the building. And we're going to go, so we have our road, we have our garden, and then we'll go ahead and go here. Pop that down. So that's one of them. And then let's go over here. This is our first one. And then we're going to leave one space for a garden. And we'll go like that. And then let's just flip onto the other side of our road that doesn't quite exist yet. And then we'll go here. And we'll just kind of go from across, leave one more space for that road. And we'll go ahead and do that. So again, what's going to happen here is when you place a building within a tree or a rock or whatever, the villagers have to clear that first. So you can see that's what this icon is here. They're clearing it out, chopping down the trees, but this one was good to go right away. So it's much, much quicker building it. So they've already got it pretty much done. They got 2 labors left and it's done. And now if we go back up here, we have 12 out of 4. And the next house will be being at 8 out of 4, and then we'll be at 12 out of 12. So then we'll be good to go. We have everything, all the houses that we're going to need for right now set up. They're on their way. So now we want to build a road in here. So you can come over here, go to dirt roads, and then click and drag this. Or one thing that I've been using a lot in this game is the hotkeys. It's super handy. Go ahead and hit N, and that brings up your dirt road as well. The one thing that I've been doing a little bit is just kind of building a road around our town center. No reason in particular, but I'm just going to go ahead and do that here quickly. Now, to finish the road, sometimes it gets a little wonky. But if you just go ahead and you just drag it kind of through where you had roads previously and then backtrack just a touch, you'll find where it connects. So that's all you got to do for that. I've had issues with it before, so this is a quick little thing that I figured out. Well, we're going to need some firewood. That's what those red icons are above the houses. We're also going to want to get ourselves some food, and we need some water as well. So let's go ahead and get our water done first. So that's going to be under resources. So we go to resources, and resources is where the bulk of our buildings are. Lots of different things in here. But the one we care about right now is basic well. And you can see there in the top right next to desirability, there's a little up arrow. So that's something to be considered about. That is, again, I mentioned the desirability of our housing. So when you're building stuff, be mindful of what the desirability is. If you put your foundry right smack dab in the middle of all your residential stuff, you're going to negatively affect your desirability and could possibly reduce the desirability of your houses so much that they de-evolve, and you don't want that to happen. So let's get our basic well up. There's a couple of overlays here that we have going on. We have our basic well, of course, and then our water bonus, 61. So as you get closer and closer to the lake, you can see that that water bonus is going to increase all the way up to 89. That's pretty good, but we don't want the well all the way over there. So we're going to come up here. We're going to plop our well. Oh, let's go about right here. So it's kind of hard to see, but my thought is if I bring out this road into this type direction, I want to put the well on the other side of it. And I'm doing that just so that I have enough wiggle room to do what I want to do for desirability stuff. The well is good. It does help with desirability, but I just want to put it a little bit off to the side. You can kind of see how effective the desirability is and where it's affecting. So you can see when I get this well closer to that building on the right, it lights up. If I had this well here, the building can't reach that. We're getting attacked by a predator again up there in the north. But when it's here, it does reach it. So this guy right here is plenty good. We have room for lots of houses. So another thing to keep in mind is you want to be close enough to the well so that your houses can actually access it. Okay, and then we have that. And now we want to get firewood addressed. Ooh, more people wish to join our settlement. So more people await your word to join your settlement, amass a 4-month supply of food and 6 houses. So there's a little quest that pops up pretty early in the game. It gives you a little goal to work towards. So you can do that. You can ignore it, but as you play, it would just kind of happen anyways. So like I was gonna say, we were gonna do our firewood. So we got our firewood splitter. We want to put this guy. Oh, let's see. How does this affect our desirability? Okay, so see, I was just gonna plop that right there without thinking about it. This is a double down for firewood splitter desirability. Not great. So click on this guy. This is gonna bring up our desirability. So now you can see at what point our houses are as far as their desirability goes. We got 8% and a 6. So if I put this firewood splitter, you can see that it's kind of red around it. So that's another little indicator for you. If I put this guy like right over in here, -1, got a -2, a -4, not great. Don't want to do that. So what we're going to do is plop this guy a little bit further away, just enough so that we can still have it close to the town, but not hurting us. So look at that, -8, that's crazy. So let's go ahead and we'll plop this guy like right back here, and we'll get our little road to come out to it. And now we will have access to firewood. So of course they got to do the same thing. They got to clear the land. They got to build a building. It's going to take a little bit of time. And then if you've noticed, I've been kind of toggling the times here, the speed of which the game is going as I've been talking. So a quick way to do that, we have 1, which is half speed. 2 is 1 times regular. 3 is 2, and 4 is 3 times. So that's the quickest you can go. So I'm just going to go back to 1 times here while we're talking. Okay, so now we need to worry about food. So here we have our blueberry bushes, and these are seasonal. So because we're in early summer, the berries are out, and we can go ahead and gather those up. There's a couple other things around here. We have our deer sighted. That was something we looked for when we were placing our town center. We have our bird's nest here, and these hawthorns. So the reason these are grayed out, they're out of season. So as the year goes on, the berries will become out of season, and the hawthorn will become in season. There's also greens up over here. So something else to consider. We could go in this direction. There's our iron ore. There's patch of herbs, mushroom clusters, patch of herbs. Lots of good things over here. So another thing to consider is we want to have medicine. So the patch of herbs and medicinal roots are medicine. So let's go ahead and first of all, go down to food production. We want to get our gatherer, our forager shack. So if we click this guy, desirability is neutral. So you don't have to worry about that. Slope too steep, so I can't build over here. But we'll go up over here, and I'll show you a little trick that I learned. These things are super, super handy. So if we plop this thing right here, you can see that the foraging sources spotted around are the berries, the herbs, and that's mushroom clusters. So if we put this here, we'll have access to all those things, which is fantastic. So we'll go ahead and get that placed. Additionally, we also would like to get those deer. So I have our hunting cabin here, and you can see if I plop this here, we don't have access to anything. We don't have deer, boar, there's no wolves, and there's no bears. That's fine. We don't mind about those two. But we want to get over here where these deer are. So see, if we put this here, now the deer is green. But I'm going to put this over here, and I'll show you why in just a second. And then we're going to wait for just a little bit. We're going to let them clear this and get this stuff built up. And hopefully we get some dang old firewood in place here as well. So now that we have this firewood splitter built, we have somebody who has an occupancy of splitting firewood. So now if we go back over here, we can see we have resources 1 out of 1, and then firewood splitter is 1 out of 1. So if you wanted to, you could hit minus here and take that person out of there, or you can come over here and do the same thing here and take the person out of there. Or if you go the other direction, you can go ahead and hit plus and add somebody else to this, and now you have 2 firewood splitters. You're increasing the demand on your logs, but you are creating more firewood. So we're going to take that back down to 1. Okay, and we have our buildings completed up over here. Good timing. So let's see, we have our forager shack. So I didn't mind where we had this, but there's a little thing that you can do is this guy right here, retarget building work radius. So if we click on this, we can decide what things we want. We can move this around. I really think this is a great tool to add to these. I really, really like this. So if we go over here, we have triple herbs, mushrooms, and greens. Really good. If we go over here, we only have the 2. So I think what I'm going to do is go over here, and then we'll have all 3 of those things. Good access to them. Super great. Like I said, we want the herbs for healing. We got that. And then our hunting cabin, likewise. Get this, retarget building work radius. This is a common theme in this game, so keep your eyes peeled for that. If you build something new, does it have a work radius? So over here, now we see we have boar and we have deer. And I don't even think I've had boar yet. So let's go ahead and we'll click that. And now we have access to the deer and to the boar that we got running around over here. So super great. And now, as well, we have a hunter assigned now. So we go to the food category and a forager. So there they are. Awesome. Okay, and then that's that's like your very, very basic setup. There's tons and tons of things to get into in this game. We have a fishing shack. Let's throw in the fishing shack real quick. It's a very, very similar thing. We can go ahead and plop it anywhere in here. Get that then. And we'll make this a priority. So this is another thing that you can do. If you want to, you can turn the construction off. So you can lay out your entire town and then put construction disabled, unchecked construction enabled, and they won't build anything until you click it again. You can also say, hey, build this thing first, prioritize it. So if you're building a bunch of things and you want something built up really quick, go ahead and prioritize it. They'll go ahead, you'll see this little thing come up, and there you go. They'll build it first. So they're doing the same thing, clearing it, whatever. And then we will wait for it to get built, and we'll retarget toward the water. Now, in this case, we don't have one, but sometimes there's a little blue circly deal, just like these, that says shoal of fish. So you want to put it there. It's a plus 50% bonus to the fish that are there. So it's a really great thing to have. So you want to have that for sure if it's available. So some other things that we could look at real quick while this is getting finished up is preservation of your food. So smokehouse here, very, very important building. This is going to produce your smoked fish and your smoked meats. If you don't do this, your food will spoil. So one thing to look at here, consider, is if we go up into this little tab here, we have food stores. So we have the white number is months of food stored currently, which is 9, and then we have 6, which is months of food lost to spoilage over the next 12 months. So we're losing a lot of food. We don't want to do that. So you build our smokehouse, and you will help to preserve your meats with smoking them. So we can go ahead and put that there. But we have our fishing guy ready, and you can see that obviously we're not on the water here. So this building say, hey, there's no fish in range. So again, click this guy, go ahead, and you can retarget this, and you can see all the little nods that pop up here. And at the very bottom, you can see we have 140%, 130. You can see where's the best spot to put this. And we're just going to go ahead and put this at our 140 if I can get it just right there. All right, right there. Perfect. And then we'll have our person. They're going to come over here. They're going to wander on over here and do their fishing and bring the fish back. And there we go. So there we go. Now we have our basics. We have a protein, which is going to be the fish, and it's also going to be the meat. So that's going to lead into a little bit of a desirability thing as well. So we have our shelters here. They're looking for a couple things to upgrade. So I mentioned desirability before. So this thing needs to be level a 30% desirability. It's currently at 12. It also needs a level 2 town center. It needs a basic well, and it needs 2 food types. So what is a food type? A food type is if you click on this, and we have this nice list right here: food type, proteins, grains, veggies, fruits, and dairy. Lots of different things. So a protein is going to be your fish and your venison. So that's only one food type. That's protein. So it's not 2 because of fish and because of venison. It's just proteins. And then we also have our veggies that are around town that we're picking up. That's our second food type. So greens, the berries. So those are, again, a second food type. We don't have 4 total food types. We only have the 2. So come up over here. If you're not sure what something is, you can hit this plus. We have meat, fish, smoked meat, smoked fish, and eggs. All protein. There's lots of different grains as well. Oh, or just breads, I guess. There's lots of different veggies. We got mushrooms, greens, root veggies, beans, preserved vegetables, and then again, there's fruits, and then dairy as well, milk and cheese. Lots of different things to consider for food. And when you have those things figured out and they're getting to the shelter, this will be green. This is also looking for 1 herb. So a couple of things that we are gathering up, they maybe just don't quite have those yet. So a couple of things to consider. There's lots of things to get into. This is just going to be a quick little overview of a couple of things to consider in our beginnings of our game. We mentioned our desirability quite a few times now. The way to get the small gardens is right in here. You go to decorations at the bottom. We have our small garden. Adds desirability bonus to nearby residents. This is pretty good. All these other things in here require gold, so keep that in mind. Gold is, it's okay to get, but right away in the beginning, you're not going to have a lot of gold. So small garden is the best way to upgrade this. It's going to take some planks, and it's going to take some stone. If we go over here, just like any other building in this game, the closer you get to it, you'll see what the desirability effect is. So you can go ahead and we'll plop our gardens in here. And these guys aren't going to be able to get built because we don't have any planks. And then that's kind of like the opening up into the game. You got your basics figured out. You have our water. We got food types. We're gathering up some things around the town. and then we have to just continue to play the game, and we'll get into our resources here, and then you're going to unlock the saw pit. So when you go into storage and you build a stockyard, this game is looking for that building to unlock the saw pit. So instead of having text, that's how you're going to advance in this game. You're going to build previous buildings, and that's going to unlock the future one. And I think that's going to be a pretty decent overview of getting started with Farthest Frontier. Kind of a lot to consider, a lot to do. Don't be afraid to start over on your game. I did that a couple times, so, laid out my stuff completely wrong, and then I was like, I probably should just start over. So don't be afraid to do that. It helps a lot. So thanks for watching, and I hope you learned something, and have a fantastic and amazing rest of your day.